Chancellor stood at the great window of Harmony Station, watching the stars twinkle like diamonds against the black of space. Behind her, delegates from 47 different worlds argued about trade routes and mining rights. The noise filled the massive hall, a mix of clicks, growls, musical tones, and translated words that somehow made sense to everyone present. Smiled slightly. 15 years ago, humans had never seen another living being from space. Now she was helping settle disputes between creatures that looked like walking trees and others that floated like jellyfish in clear suits. The galaxy was stranger and more wonderful than anyone on Earth had ever imagined. Chancellor, the voice belonged to Ambassador, a tall, thin being with blue skin and 4 arms. His people, they were known for being peaceful and thoughtful. The delegation is becoming quite angry. Perhaps you could help. Nodded and walked toward the center of the hall. They were easy to spot. They looked like giant bears covered in dark fur, with thick arms and sharp teeth. Their leader, War Chief Thane, was almost 3 meters tall and had scars across his face from many battles. Right now, he was shouting at a group of "Your people steal from our asteroid fields," Thane roared, his voice so loud it made the translation devices crackle. "We claim those rocks by right of strength." The speaker, a gentle creature named Melody, floated backward in fear. Her musical voice was barely audible. "We have mined those asteroids for 300 years. Our ancestors' bones rest in those tunnels." Stepped between them, looking tiny compared to both groups. She had learned that in galactic politics, being human meant being ignored or laughed at. Most aliens thought humans were weak, stupid, and too new to matter, but had discovered something important. They also underestimated humans completely. "War Chief Thane," said calmly, "Speaker Melody, may I suggest something?" Thane looked down at her and snorted. What can a hairless monkey know about asteroid rights? Several aliens chuckled at this insult. Had heard worse, much worse. She kept her expression friendly and calm. "I know that the Empire needs those minerals for your new battle cruisers," said. "And I know the rare crystals found deep in those same asteroids for their healing technology." Both sides went quiet. Continued, "What if we created shared mining zones that could extract metals from the outer regions while mine crystals from the inner cores? Everyone gets what they need." Thane frowned. "Shared zones are for weaklings. They are for smart warriors who want to avoid unnecessary fights," replied. "Your empire has 700 worlds to defend. Do you really want to waste ships fighting over rocks when you could be preparing for real threats?" This made Thane think. They respected strength, but they also respected tactical thinking. Speaker Melody's musical voice grew stronger. "This could work. Our people could teach thee about crystal detection. In return, their mining equipment could help us reach deeper veins." Spent the next 4 hours working out the details. By the end, both sides had an agreement that would make their people richer and safer. More importantly, had shown the galaxy once again that humans could solve problems that others could not. After the session ended, walked to her private quarters on the station. She passed groups of aliens who whispered as she went by. Some of their comments were not friendly. "Humans think they are so clever," hissed a snake-like creature from the Empire. "Primitives playing at diplomacy," agreed another. Pretended not to hear. They had been the most hostile toward humanity since the day humans joined the Galactic Council. They were an ancient race that had controlled galactic politics for over 1,000 years. Having new species rise to importance did not fit their plans. In her quarters, activated her secure communication system. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to General, her oldest friend and advisor back on Earth. "Another successful day of being called a monkey?" asked with a slight smile. "3 times today," laughed. "How are things back home?" His expression became serious. "The shipyards in the asteroid belt finished another batch. We now have over 3,000 vessels ready for deployment. Our reconnaissance ships continue mapping every major system in the galaxy. So far, no one suspects anything. Nodded. This was Earth's greatest secret. While the galaxy saw humans as a new, weak species with primitive technology, the truth was very different. For 15 years, human engineers had been studying alien technology and improving on it. Human ships traveled the galaxy disguised as merchant vessels, but they were actually gathering intelligence on every fleet, base, and weapon system they could find. "Any threats we should worry about?" asked. "They are planning something," replied. "Our agents report increased military activity in their core systems. They are not happy with your recent diplomatic successes." Had suspected this. Every time she helped solve a galactic dispute, it reduced influence. The ancient empire was used to being the power behind every decision. They did not like sharing. "Keep our people alert," said, "but do not change anything. The longer they think we are harmless, the better." Said quietly, "Maybe you should come home for a while, take a break from all this." Shook her head. "The galaxy needs to see that humans can be trusted, that we want peace, not conquest. If I run away every time someone threatens us, we lose everything we have built." After the call ended, looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small blue world that most aliens considered unimportant. They had no idea that this small world had the power to change everything. They saw humans as weak because humans chose to be peaceful. They saw human technology as primitive because humans chose to hide their real capabilities. Hoped it would stay that way. Peace was always better than war. But if someone pushed too hard, if they threatened the things cared about, the galaxy would learn a terrible truth. Humans were much more than anyone imagined. For now, though, would keep playing the role of the harmless diplomat from a primitive world. Tomorrow, there would be another dispute to solve, another chance to build trust between species, another opportunity to prove that different peoples could work together. She had no idea that tomorrow would change everything. The next morning started like any other on Harmony Station. Woke early and reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Trade was flowing smoothly between most worlds. The N had already started their joint mining operation. Everything seemed peaceful. Made her way to the main conference hall for the day's session. Today's topic was establishing new trade routes through the dangerous Nebula sector. It should have been a routine discussion about shipping lanes and safety protocols. She never saw the assassin coming. Was walking toward her seat when the explosion happened. A blast of energy ripped through the air where she had been standing just seconds before, but was not there anymore. She was on the ground, pushed down by her security chief, Commander Sarah. "Stay down," Sarah shouted, pulling out her weapon. Chaos filled the hall. Aliens screamed and ran in all directions. Security forces from a dozen different species rushed toward the source of the blast. Through the smoke and confusion, saw a figure in dark clothes running toward the emergency exits. There pointed the shooter. Sarah was already moving. She was faster than most aliens expected humans to be, much faster. She caught up to the assassin near the exit and tackled them to the ground. The figure fought back with surprising strength, but Sarah had trained for this her entire life. Within seconds, the assassin was on the ground with Sarah's weapon pointed at their head. Stood up slowly, her heart racing. She was alive, but something felt wrong. The blast had been too close, too precise. This was not some random attack by extremists. This was professional. "Remove the mask," ordered. Sarah pulled off the assassin's hood. Underneath was a face recognized from intelligence reports, an operative named. He was one of their best killers, the kind they only used for the most important missions. "Why?" asked. Smiled, showing sharp teeth. "You think you are so important, little human. You think your kind matters. We have ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. We will not let primitives change that." Before anyone could stop him, bit down on something hidden in his mouth. Poison. He was dead within seconds, taking his secrets with him. Stared at the body. This changed everything. The Empire had just declared war on humanity, even if they would never admit it publicly. Commander helped to her feet. "Chancellor, we need to get you out of here, now." "No," said firmly. "I need to address the council. If we run now, it looks like we are afraid." "You should be afraid," Sarah whispered. "If they are willing to try this here in front of everyone, they will try again." Knew Sarah was right, but she also knew that how humanity responded in the next few hours would shape their future in the galaxy. Show weakness now, and every species would think humans could be bullied or killed without consequences. An hour later, stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council. Her clothes were torn from the explosion, and she had a small cut on her forehead, but her voice was steady and strong. "Today, the Empire sent an assassin to murder me," she began. "Not because of any crime I had committed, not because of any threat I had made, but simply because they do not want humans to have a voice in galactic affairs." The delegate, a tall creature with silver skin and cold eyes, stood up immediately. "These are lies. The Empire has no knowledge of this attack. Perhaps the humans staged this to gain sympathy." Smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Then you will not mind if we question the assassin's body. Our medical technology can read genetic markers, trace implants, and identify training methods even after death." The delegate's skin went pale. Continued, "We can also examine the weapon used. Quantum disruptors are very rare technology. Only 3 species in the galaxy know how to make them. The Empire is one of those 3. Murmurs filled the hall. Other delegates began looking at them with suspicion. "Furthermore," said, "we have been tracking unusual military movements for the past 6 months. Ships gathering in systems near human trade routes. New weapons being developed. It seems someone has been planning something like this for quite some time." This was a lie, but a useful one. Wanted to see how they would react. The delegate stood frozen for a moment. Then he made a mistake. Even if that were true, what could a primitive species like humanity do about it? You have no real military, no advanced weapons. You are barely more than animals that learn to use starships. The hall went completely quiet. Other species might have thought similar things, but saying it out loud after an assassination attempt was incredibly stupid. Smile became even less friendly. "You might be surprised." She activated her communication device and spoke in clear, calm tones. "This is Chancellor. Please inform General that diplomatic solutions are no longer possible. It is time to show our neighbors who we really are." The message was broadcast across the galaxy through normal communication channels. Every species could hear it. Most of them probably thought it was just angry words from a species too weak to do anything real. They would learn differently soon enough. Turned back to the council. "The Empire has 48 standard hours to surrender the individuals responsible for planning my assassination. If they do not, humanity will take whatever steps are necessary to ensure justice." The delegate laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. "And what will you do, little human? Send us angry messages? File complaints with the council? Your entire species could not defeat a single battle fleet." "We will see," said quietly. After the session, returned to her quarters and immediately contacted Earth. General's face appeared on the screen and could see the anger in his eyes. "How badly are you hurt?" he asked first. "Just scratches, but they tried to kill me in front of the entire galaxy. This cannot go unanswered." "It won't," replied. "Our ships are already moving into position. Every intelligence asset we have is activating. They want to see what humans can do when we are angry. They are about to find out." Felt a mix of sadness and determination. She had tried so hard to build peace, to show that different species could work together. But some creatures only understood strength. "How long before our people are ready?" she asked. 72 hours for full deployment. But once we start this, there is no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Thought about's words, about the delegates' laughter, about 15 years of being called primitives and animals and worse. Maybe it's time they saw us differently, she said. The peaceful days were ending. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans were truly capable of when someone they loved was threatened. 2 days passed after his ultimatum. The Empire's response came in the form of a fleet. 20 massive warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Each ship was over 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. They had sent their third battle fleet, commanded by Admiral, one of their most experienced military leaders. Admiral opened communications on all frequencies, making sure every human listening post could hear his message. Primitive humans, his voice boomed across space, you have made demands of your betters. The Empire does not negotiate with animals. You will surrender your entire government to us for justice, or we will demonstrate why your species should have remained silent. On Earth, General stood in the main command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, hundreds of officers monitored screens showing every ship, satellite, and space station in the solar system. But the screens also showed things they could not see. "Admiral, are you detecting any human military vessels?" asked his tactical officer. "No, sir. Our stealth systems are working perfectly. As far as their sensors show, we have nothing but civilian ships and orbital stations." Nodded. For 15 years, human engineers had worked on one problem above all others: how to hide in space. They had solved it by studying how light moved around black holes and creating similar effects around their ships. To most sensors, human warships were invisible. "How many ships do we have in position?" asked. 67 vessels in the outer system, 43 more in the asteroid belt, and 12 dreadnoughts holding position behind Luna, came the reply. "All ships report ready for combat." Activated his communication system. "This is General to Admiral of the Empire. You are trespassing in human space. Turn around and leave or face the consequences." Laughter filled the communication channel. "I see no human ships, primitive. What will you fight us with?" Harsh language. "You will see," replied and cut the transmission. Turned to his communications officer. "Send the activation code to all stealth ships. Operation Revelation begins now." Across the solar system, 67 human warships suddenly appeared on sensors. But these were not the primitive vessels they expected. Each ship was sleek, deadly, and covered in weapons systems they had never seen before. Admiral stared at his tactical display in shock. Where did they come from? How did they hide from our sensors? His tactical officer, a young named, studied the readings. "Sir, I am detecting energy signatures I have never seen. These ships, they do not match any known human technology." The largest human ship, the UES Retribution, moved toward the fleet. It was only half the size of a battle cruiser, but something about it made nervous. "All ships prepare to fire," ordered. "Let us show these primitives what real weapons can do." The fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams that could melt mountains lanced through space toward human ships. Missiles that could destroy cities streaked across the darkness. None of them hit. The human ships moved like nothing had ever seen. They twisted and turned through space as if the laws of physics did not apply to them. Weapons that should have been impossible to dodge somehow missed completely. "How are they moving like that?" screamed. Had no answer. His ships were firing non-stop, but it was like trying to hit ghosts. Then the humans fired back. Beams of pure white energy struck 3 cruisers at the same time. The beams did not just damage the ships, they tore them apart at the molecular level. Within seconds, 3 massive warships that had taken years to build became clouds of glowing particles. "Impossible," shouted. Those energy readings are off the charts. No ship that small could generate that much power. More human ships appeared from behind asteroids and moons. The fleet found itself surrounded by enemies that moved faster, hit harder, and could not be touched by weapons. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. "This is Admiral Sarah of the United Earth Space Force. Admiral, you came here to teach us a lesson. Let me teach you one instead." Sarah's ship, the UES Fury, moved between two cruisers like a shark among fish. Her weapons fired once, twice, 3 times. Both ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. "Lesson 1, Sarah continued. Humans do not respond well to threats." 4 more ships tried to run. They activated their fastest engines and headed for the edge of the solar system. The human ships that chased them moved twice as fast and cut them off with ease. "Lesson 2, Sarah said as those ships were destroyed. You cannot run from us." Watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. These were not the primitive humans the galaxy knew about. These were warriors with technology that seemed impossible. "How?" he whispered. Sarah's voice came through clearly. "We have been watching your people for 15 years, Admiral, studying your weapons, your tactics, your weaknesses. Did you really think we learned nothing in all that time?" 3 human ships surrounded his flagship. Their weapons were pointed directly at his bridge, but they were not firing. "Surrender your ship," Sarah ordered. "You have information we need about who ordered the attack on Chancellor." Looked around his bridge. Half his crew was dead or injured. His weapons could not penetrate human shields. His engines could not outrun human ships. He had no choice. I surrender." Within an hour, all 20 ships had been either destroyed or captured. Not a single human vessel was even damaged. The battle that was supposed to show human weakness had instead revealed their terrible strength. But this was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, other fleets received the same message. The third battle fleet had been completely destroyed by human forces. Most commanders thought it was some kind of mistake or lie. On Harmony Station, watched the battle reports with mixed emotions. She was relieved that Earth was safe, but she knew what came next. The galaxy would never trust humans again once they realized how powerful they really were. Her communication system activated, and General appeared on screen. "Admiral is talking. The attack on you was ordered directly by the High Council. They wanted to eliminate human leadership before we could gain more influence in galactic politics." Nodded. "What about the other species? How are they reacting?" "Panic mostly. Half the Galactic Council thinks we are now the biggest threat in the galaxy. The other half is asking if they can be our allies." Looked out at the stars. Everything had changed in just a few hours. Humans were no longer the weak, primitive species everyone could ignore. They were now a major power that others would either fear or respect. She said quietly, "I want you to send a message to every government in the galaxy. Tell them that humanity has no interest in conquest. We only want justice for the attack on our leader and assurance that it will never happen again. And if they do not believe us," his expression hardened, "then they will learn the hard way that we mean what we say." The galaxy was about to discover that the most dangerous human was not the one who wanted to fight, but the one who preferred peace but was very, very good at war. The news of the third battle fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, every major government knew that humans were not what they seemed to be. War Chief Thane of the Empire was the first to respond. Despite his recent agreement about the asteroid mining, he could not ignore what he had seen. "The humans lied to us," he roared during an emergency meeting of war leaders. "They pretended to be weak while building secret fleets. If they can destroy ships so easily, what stops them from conquering us all?" Similar meetings took place across the galaxy. The hegemony of the Crystal Confederation, and the Machine Collective all came to the same conclusion. Humanity had become too dangerous to ignore. Within a week, the largest military alliance in galactic history was formed. The Galactic Defense Coalition included 4 major empires and their allies, commanding over 4,000 warships and the combined industrial might of 30 star systems. General watched the reports from Earth's command center with growing concern. "They are massing everything they have," he told his staff. "This is not just about the anymore. They see us as an existential threat." "Are we?" asked Admiral, who had returned to Earth after the solar system battle. Considered the question. "Honestly, yes. If we wanted to, we could probably conquer half the galaxy within a year. Our technology is that much better than theirs." "But we do not want to conquer anyone," pointed out. "Try explaining that to 4,000 enemy warships," replied. The Coalition fleet gathered in the 442 system, a strategic location with multiple hyperspace routes. Their plan was simple: corner the human fleet and destroy it with overwhelming numbers. Admiral, now a prisoner on Earth, had given them detailed information about human capabilities. The Coalition commanders thought they understood what they were facing. They were wrong. Admiral stood on the bridge of the UES Fury, watching the massive enemy fleet through the holographic display. 4,000 ships stretched across space like a metallic cloud, their weapons charging for battle. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported, "enemy numbers confirmed at 4,127 vessels. They outnumber us 4-1. Smiled perfect odds. "Ma'am, the bigger they are, the harder they fall," explained. "Launch all stealth drones. I want to know exactly what we are dealing with." Unknown to the Coalition, the 442 system had been prepared for this battle for months. Human engineers had spent weeks setting up hidden weapon platforms in asteroids, mining the hyperspace jump points, and positioning supply bases throughout the system. The Coalition fleet moved in standard formation, expecting the humans to either run or fight a conventional space battle. They did neither. Activated her fleet communications. "All ships, this is Admiral. Today we show the galaxy what happens when peaceful people are forced to fight. Remember, Chancellor, remember that they started this war, not us. Make them regret it." The first surprise came when Coalition ships tried to leave the system. Their hyperspace engines activated, but instead of jumping to safety, the ships were pulled back into normal space by human gravity mines. War Chief Thane, commanding the Coalition fleet from his massive dreadnought, stared at his navigation display in confusion. "What is happening? Why can we not leave?" His chief engineer, a nervous named, checked his readings twice. "Sir, there are artificial gravity wells at every jump point. We are trapped here until we destroy them." The second surprise came from the asteroids themselves. What the Coalition thought were just space rocks suddenly opened fire with weapons that tore through their shields like paper. "Hidden bases," Thane roared. "They turned the entire system into a trap." The third surprise was the human fleet itself. Instead of fighting like civilized species in neat formations, the humans scattered in all directions and attacked from everywhere at once. Human ships dove through asteroid fields at impossible speeds, using the rocks for cover while launching devastating attacks. They appeared from behind moons, dropped out of hyperspace in the middle of enemy formations, and seemed to know exactly where Coalition ships would be before they got there. "How do they move so fast?" demanded Admiral Vex of the Hegemony. "Our sensors cannot track them." The answer was human technology that the galaxy had never imagined. While aliens built bigger, more powerful ships, humans had focused on speed, stealth, and intelligence. Human vessels used AI-assisted navigation that could calculate thousands of possible moves per second. Their engines could change direction instantly without the massive turns that alien ships required. But the biggest shock came when the Coalition tried to use their secret weapon, quantum disruptor bombs that could destroy entire fleets at once. The bombs exploded exactly as planned, releasing waves of energy that should have torn every human ship apart. Instead, the human vessels were protected by shields that adapted in real time, changing their frequency to match and counter each attack. "Impossible," screamed the Crystal Confederation commander. "Those shields are learning. They are becoming stronger with every hit." Admiral watched the battle from her command chair, calmly giving orders while chaos raged around her. This was what humans were truly good at, not just building better weapons but using them smarter. "Tactical target their command ships," she ordered. "Communications, I want to broadcast on all frequencies." His voice reached every ship in the Coalition fleet. "This is Admiral of the United Earth Space Force. You came here to destroy us because you were afraid of what we might become. Let me show you what we already are." The human fleet suddenly stopped its chaotic attacks and formed into perfect battle lines. Every ship moved with precision that seemed impossible for organic crews to achieve. "Fire," said quietly. What followed was not a battle but a demonstration. Human weapons fired in perfect coordination, each shot timed to hit at exactly the right moment. Coalition shields, designed to stop single attacks, could not handle the synchronized assault. Within minutes, 200 Coalition ships were destroyed. Within an hour, that number reached 800. The survivors tried to surrender, but their communications were jammed by human electronic warfare systems. War Chief Thane watched his proud fleet being systematically destroyed and finally understood the truth. Humans had not just hidden their military power, they had hidden their intelligence. While the galaxy saw them as primitive creatures, they had been planning for this exact situation for 15 years. "All ships," Thane broadcast desperately, "full retreat, get out of the system any way you can." But there was nowhere to run. The gravity mines kept them trapped, and the human ships hunted down anyone who tried to escape. By the end of the day, the Great Coalition fleet was finished. More than 3,000 ships had been destroyed or captured. The survivors limped home with stories of human technology that seemed like magic and tactics, that everything they thought they knew about warfare. Admiral stood in the wreckage of what had been the largest military force in galactic history. Around her, human ships were rescuing survivors and towing damaged vessels to safety. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving surrender requests from 14 different governments. They want to negotiate immediate peace terms." Nodded. "Tell them we will consider their requests. But first, they need to answer one question. Are they ready to accept that humans are equals in this galaxy, or do we need to have this conversation again?" The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not primitive, not weak, and definitely not something that could be bullied or ignored. From now on, when humans spoke, everyone would listen. 3 days after the Battle of 442, the galaxy had gone silent. No government wanted to be the next to challenge humanity. No military leader wanted to face the same destruction that had befallen the Coalition. Even the proudest, most arrogant species in the galaxy were suddenly very interested in peaceful negotiations. Stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, looking out at the stars. The station itself had become a symbol of the new reality. Human ships now openly patrolled the area, their sleek forms a reminder that the balance of power had shifted forever. General materialized as a hologram beside her. "The Galactic Council is ready for your address. Every species has a representative present, including some we have never seen before." Nodded but did not turn from the window. "Do you think we did the right thing?" "They tried to murder you and then attacked our home," replied. "What choice did we have? We could have stayed hidden, let them think we were weak, avoided this whole war." Was quiet for a moment. "And then what? Let them pick off human colonies one by one. Let them treat our people like animals forever. Sometimes, the only way to get peace is to be so strong that no one dares to disturb it. Sighed, I know, but I had hoped for something different. She turned and walked toward the Great Hall. Time to address the galaxy as something she had never wanted to be, the leader of a major military power. The hall was packed beyond capacity. Every species in the galaxy had sent representatives, and many leaders had come personally. Even War Chief Thane was there, his arm in a medical cast from injuries suffered during the battle. Stepped up to the speaker's platform. The hall fell completely silent. 3 weeks ago, she began, someone tried to kill me because they thought humans did not belong in galactic politics. Today, I stand before you as the representative of a species that has proven it definitely belongs here. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, raised her hand for silence. But I did not come here to threaten you or to boast about our victories. I came here to talk about justice and the future we want to build together. Activated a holographic display showing Admiral and several other officials in custody. The investigation into my attempted assassination is complete. We have identified everyone involved in planning and executing the attack. They will face trial for their crimes. The representative, a nervous creature named Diplomat, stood up. The Empire is prepared to pay any reasonable compensation for this unfortunate incident. His expression hardened. This was not an incident. This was an act of war. However, humanity is not interested in revenge. We want justice. She gestured to another holographic display. The Empire will undergo government restructuring under international supervision. All officials involved in the conspiracy will be removed from power. Your military will be reduced to defensive levels only, and you will pay reparations to help rebuild what this war destroyed. That is unacceptable, protested. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. You cannot simply. We can, interrupted, and we will. The alternative is that we continue this war until your empire no longer exists. Your choice. Looked around the room for support. No other species moved to help After what the galaxy had seen of human military power, no one wanted to be their next enemy. We accept your terms, said quietly. Turned to address the entire assembly. This brings us to the bigger question. What kind of galaxy do we want to live in going forward? She walked to the center of the hall, looking at representatives from dozens of different worlds. For too long, this galaxy has been ruled by fear. Strong species bullied weak ones. Ancient empires controlled politics behind closed doors. New species were told to be grateful for whatever scraps they were given. His voice grew stronger. Humanity rejects this system completely. We believe that every species, regardless of age or military power, deserves an equal voice in galactic affairs. War Chief Thane stood up, wincing from his injuries. You speak of equality, but you just defeated the largest fleet in galactic history. How do we know you will not become the same tyrants you claim to oppose? It was a fair question, and had been expecting it. Because, she said, we could have conquered this galaxy already if that was what we wanted. Instead, we are proposing new galactic accords based on mutual respect and cooperation. Activated another display showing a detailed document. These new accords will guarantee representation for all species. They will establish international courts for resolving disputes peacefully. They will create joint scientific projects and trade agreements that benefit everyone. Speaker Melody of the floated forward. And if some species refuse to accept these accords? Smiled, but it was not entirely friendly. Then they will be reminded that humanity has a very long memory and very advanced weapons. We prefer diplomacy, but we are excellent at war. The message was clear. Cooperation would be rewarded, but aggression would be crushed. Over the next several hours, worked with the assembled representatives to draft the new galactic constitution. It was not easy. Species that had been enemies for centuries had to learn to work together. But with humanity's military power backing the negotiations, everyone was motivated to find peaceful solutions. When the session ended, found herself alone with War Chief Thane. The Massive looked smaller than she remembered. "You fought well," he admitted grudgingly. "My people respect strength, and yours showed great strength." "Your people fought well too," replied. "That is why we want thee as allies, not enemies. The galaxy has enough conflicts without adding unnecessary ones." Thane studied her carefully. "You really mean that, do not you? You actually want peace?" "I have always wanted peace," said. "But I learned something important. Sometimes you have to be willing to fight in order to get peace that actually lasts." Months passed. The new galactic accords were signed by every major government. The empire was restructured with a democratic government that actually represented its people. War criminals faced justice in international courts. More importantly, the galaxy began to change in deeper ways. Species that had never spoken to each other started forming alliances. Scientific research projects that would have taken centuries were completed in years through cooperation. Trade flourished under the protection of human fleets that kept pirates and raiders away. Continued her work as humanity's chief diplomat, but she was no longer the representative of a minor species. She was now one of the most powerful people in the galaxy, and everyone knew it. One evening, she stood on Harmony Station looking at a new memorial that had been built in the center of the main hall. It was dedicated to all those who had died in the recent conflicts, with special recognition for those who had worked for peace. General joined her, no longer appearing as a hologram but in person for the first time in years. "Any regrets?" he asked. "Thought about the question. I regret that war was necessary. I regret that so many people died, but I do not regret the outcome." She gestured toward the memorial. "Wanted a galaxy where different species could work together as equals. We gave her that." Smiled. "You gave her that. And you did it by being exactly what she always said humans were, more than anyone imagined." As they stood there, delegations from across the galaxy moved through the station around them. Former enemies worked side by side on joint projects. Young beings from dozens of species learned together in integrated schools. The future had dreamed of was finally becoming real. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson humanity could teach: that the strongest species was not the one with the biggest weapons, but the one that knew when to use them and when to put them away. And humanity, having proven they could destroy anyone who threatened them, had chosen instead to build something better for everyone. The age of fear was over. The age of cooperation had begun.